into one. Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
We're sorry about that. Sorry about we've been struggling. We've been struggling at the back, but yes, we can
So,
continue.
yeah, I went on a pilgrimage to Ngome, and that was a weekend pilgrimage, and another situation and beautiful place that really has a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I'd suffered 2 miscarriages. So I think that's where I think the whole spiral started as well, was not dealing with grieving properly and not forgiving myself for not handling the situation as I should, and not healing as I should, and just trying to be strong for everyone and trying to be there for everyone except myself. And that time away was just needed. Taking time away and taking time out when you are going through a spiritual attack or or spiritual neglect or a physical neglect of yourself, of your mental health and your mental state of mind, tapping out and saying, you know what, I'll be back. I'm not okay right now, but I'll be back, is okay, you know? And I did that. And that was at that weekend, that was the first time I was baptized as a child because I'm Roman Catholic. You know, it's, well, most of us get baptized as kids. Other places, kids get dedicated. But long story short, I was baptized as an adult this time, willingly and openly. And I gave my heart to Jesus again. And I walked out of I walked out of that pilgrimage. Sorry, I'm trying to gather myself.
It's okay.
I walked out of that pilgrimage new, renewed, refreshed. And unbeknown to me, at that time, I didn't know that I was pregnant. And 2 weeks after that pilgrimage, I'd found out I was pregnant with my daughter. That was in 2015. And we were all excited about it. You know, it was we had kept it a secret because we didn't want to tell anyone, because, you know, with pregnancy, things happen, and that's what happened to me. Prior to that, prior to having my first daughter, I had a miscarriage before her, and after having my first daughter, I had another miscarriage. So this time we were so excited, and we were like, okay, this is going to be the one, everything's going to work out. You know, we were in such a good space. We went for our 5-month checkup, and the sonographer, just her face changed, and I was like, you know, she's like, no, don't worry about anything. Everything's going to be okay. We just need to send you for further testing. And that's where my heart just sank. Like I couldn't function, I couldn't think, I couldn't do anything. And I just sent out a message to everyone that I knew that I could think of. At the time I had Facebook. I just asked everybody to pray for us and pray for our baby. And so we ended up losing her at 6 months. That was the most difficult time of my life. That was the most traumatizing time of my life, because a lot of people say that, you know, it's just a miscarriage, you know, you'll get over it, but you don't just get over delivering a baby. You don't get over that. You don't get over that. So like I said to you, there's purpose in pain. Going through that opened me up, opened my mind up to so much more. I became more self-aware. I became more aware of others, and a lot of ladies came forward with their stories, because having a miscarriage is so taboo, you know. Not many people talk about it. It's a very hard subject to talk about. And I was, once I got to a space where I could feel I was comfortable talking about it, I shared my story. And that was a very difficult hole to claw out of. I could still, you know, every year we don't celebrate her because we didn't get to
know her,
see her and know her, but I felt her, I held her, and I held myself, and I could hear every year, even though I try my best to not get sad about it and not hurt about it, I try to heal over it, and I am still healing 5 years later, 6 years later, sorry, no, actually 2015, that's 8 years later. I'm still healing. I'm still healing. I can still hear myself screaming in the delivery room. I can still see every single situation that happened at that in that time. So in that space of darkness, I'd always ask God to help me, send me a sign, send me a reason for this situation, because I couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand why was it that everything was fine and we had to still lose her. I need to understand what is going on. And in that space of pain, I found a purpose. My aunt-in-law, well, firstly, my mother and my sister and my sister-in-law were my my rocks at that time. They would drop everything and be with me on those sad, hard days where I just couldn't function. And I had a 3-year-old at the time. I just couldn't function. Sorry, no, she wasn't. Yeah, she was 3. My eldest was 3 at the time. And I couldn't do anything for myself. I just would lay in my bed and howl, like literally howl. Have you, you know, when somebody is in so much pain that there's that mourn, there's that cry of a woman, of a mourning woman, that people just hardly hear, because it's always when you are alone that you
Mm.
you can cry.
Mm.
But in those hard times, God sent people to me to help me along my journey.
Mm.
And in 2016, my aunt-in-law put me in front of a sewing machine, and she's like, you know what? Pour into this. I know it's something simple, but it'll help you.
Mm.
She just knew, like, I don't know, something just told her to do this. So she put me in front of the sewing machine and she taught me how to sew. And from there, I grew. I started YouTubing and learning how to do sew little bows and bow ties. It was just like, things were just starting.
Mm.
The
Mm.
building
Mm.
blocks were just building.
Yeah.
And there was this one space that I was in, and at 3 o'clock in the morning, I was woken up and God just spoke to me and made me write down all these messages of affirmation. And you know I could hear people laughing and singing and kids smile, like, when some, I could just hear joy. I woke up
Mm.
with
Mm.
that
Mm. Mm.
pure joy in my heart, and I
Mm.
was like, I need to do this. So I started writing all these things down. I started designing all these t-shirts, and
Mm.
color was just everywhere. And from there, that is where I started Botley Accessories.
Mm.
um and it's slowly growing from then. It's been a slow, steady, beautiful process. It's taken me
Mm.
to
Mm.
different parts of the country, and um it's a healing process, because people always say to me, your head wraps have helped me through my chemotherapy. Your head wraps
Mm.
just make me feel and look beautiful. The
Mm.
colors
Mm.
are just so authentic and so beautiful, and it
Mm.
is just a sense of positivity. And that's
Mm.
something that I always wanted to be. That I wanted to be the change
Yeah.
around me. You know, um, so that's Botley Accessories. How the Tea of Hope came about, and how my further into my mental health journey was
Mm.
more darkness. In the light,
Mm.
the dark will always try and attack what is good.
Mm.
And I had my first mental breakdown in 2020. That
Yeah.
was in the middle of COVID.
Mm.
Actually, towards the end of COVID. I apologize. COVID had just ended, and it was around probably October. I could feel there was a chain of events that happened in my life that was just took the wind out of my sails, and I just couldn't function. Seeing my daughter being traumatized by the situation as well, I think also sent
Mm.
me into a spiral, because there was nothing I could physically do to
Mm.
to help her see that, what, it's gonna get better. You
Mm.
don't miss what you don't need.
Mm.
Um, so that was when I had my first mental breakdown. I
Mm.
was in a absolute dark space from October into Christmas. And in February 2021, I decided that even though I was going for therapy, um, I've spoken to my psychiatrist and my psychologist, and I said, I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore. If I don't go into an institution, or if I don't go away from my family, I'm going to end up ending it all.
Mm.
And I'd already spoken to my husband about that, and he agreed with me. He said I have to go away. I pictured myself I picture myself committing suicide, and I was like, this is not a space where I wanted to be. So I was admitted into a mental institution. I spent 9 days there, and from there, that is when I took my mental health seriously. I started doing regular checks on myself. I found tools on how to cope with my triggers. I started learning what my triggers were. I set better boundaries for myself, because unfortunately, growing up in a colored community, people know no bounds, unfortunately. So that being said, I felt like I needed to share my journey with other people, and that is where the Tea of Hope was born. The Tea of Hope is a mental health awareness event which caters for like-minded people, just letting people know that you're not alone, that I'm here for you. I will hold your hand through this journey. If I can't, I will put you on to somebody else. And it's just been growing from 2021 up until now. This will be my third event. I've got an amazing team with me. I'm also going to be opening up my own NPO, which is in the process of registration as well, which will also be working hand in hand with that event. And yeah, that is my journey. That is where I'm at right now. I'm focusing on the positive. I'm focusing on what I can do better. And I'm focusing on how I can be better for myself, in turn, helping everyone around us in the community through my journey and sharing my journey with everybody. You know, we all go through heavy storms and thick, dark tunnels, and there's always a better solution than ending it all.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow, Kim, I don't even know where to begin. Firstly, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story with us and being so vulnerable. I know personally, when I had to share an experience, it's more of a revisit. So I just want to say that you are allowed to give yourself time to heal, and not give yourself pressure to heal, because I think you mentioned that you were, you felt like you were not healing sooner as you wanted, or as fast enough. You mentioned so many things, but you also mentioned that you also dealt with mental health from a very young age. And in our societies, when you have suicidal, we always talk about this in the sessions, suicidal thoughts.
Yes.
Sometimes it's like you just want attention or whatever. But I don't know if you can I don't know if you can see that up until Tea of Hope was born, it was always something that had triggered you, and then now you found it as something that now God, or we can say that now God says, this is your purpose. I want you to talk about this. I want you to talk about your journey, because I'm sure a lot of us have been through so much, and life-changing events and grief, they do affect our mental health. And those are the spaces that we learn to trust in God. But I also love how you mentioned that when you met God, you were searching. Before you met God, you were searching something. But when you met God, you felt a presence, and you felt like this is it. This is it. And I don't know if maybe some of us would agree from here in this conversation, but that sometimes we search for things, or that you should be finding from God, from wrong places. We search for a special kind of love that we should be finding from God, from wrong places. And this is what this is about, to just say that actually God cares. Actually, God cares. And thank you so much, for sharing that with us. Okay, so I don't have time, but I would really love to have contributions from obviously my co-host and everybody in the conversation. Please feel free to raise up your hand and just share or whatever your take or your question is. But before that, I'm just going to go through the comments. I see Tigeleti's hand is up. We have a welcoming from our co-host that welcome everybody. And here is Nobusha saying, see how one would want something different from their parents, correcting their mistake in a way. And then he also said our co-host that very true, time away to reroute is very important. Kim, you've touched so much, and I'm going to give Dike Lady an opportunity to unmute your mic and just share or whatever your take or your question is, ma'am.
Thank you, Tabitha. I don't have a question, but I have a contribution. And I just want to say this before we lose Kim, because she also mentioned that she's going to have load shedding at 8. You shared so much, and you've got beautiful eyes, by the way, just to digress a bit. So you shared so much, and as you were sharing, a whole lot of things were just flooding my mind. You know, I thought of Joseph's story. I thought of Romans 12, verse 2, where it says, do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is. And going back to Joseph's story, it is, you know, how he struggled, you know, how he went through so much, you know, from him having a dream, you know, with the colorful cloak, his brothers selling him off. And once he was there, then now Potiphar's wife is seducing him and he goes to prison. From prison, now he's owning the prison, you know, and then he finds Pharaoh. So in that journey, so what I'm trying to say is that in great stories come from brokenness. In whatever situation that you find yourself in, like you said in your the title of your talk is Purpose in Pain. There's definitely purpose in pain, because when you're going through pain, you don't know the purpose. You cannot think of, you know, great things because you are in that moment. It is painful, and you're allowed to feel pain and to cry about it and mourn. And the Bible says God is closer to the brokenhearted. So he is close to you. And I'm glad that you found him through this journey of, you know, battling with mental health, and you knowing that there is a problem. It is a step towards you healing. Because for you to heal, you got to know that there's a wound. If you cannot see the wound in you, then you won't know that you need to bandage it or to take medication or to clean it up. You'll just leave it there and it will create a bigger mess than it is. So I just want to speak life to you, and I want to pray for you that may God light his light may it shine upon you, and may he draw out the darkness in your mind. May he heal your heart, and may he wrap you with his love. I will just leave it there before I go into a whole lot. Like I said, you shared quite a lot, and you know, I could resonate with you when you were talking about miscarriage and losing a child at 6 months. I lost my son at 6 months as well. I gave birth to him. He was breathing, he was crying, he was fine. And they took him away because he was still small. And after that, they come back and say, your child is gone. So you can imagine the pain. And that happened in 2012. And truly, you never heal from that. You know, you never heal. And you just accept it. So I have now 3 kids. My 2 sons that I have a daughter, and then I had the miscarriage, and I lost the son. After those 2, then I had 2 sons. So that loss, it actually is the one that pushed me to name my kids the names that they have. One is Praise. Toriso it means praise, because I was praising the Lord. I was thankful that he gave me this gift, because, you know, I lost hope that I could even have a child anymore. And the other one is Muteo. It's like foundation. So that God gave me a firm foundation. His promise is yes and amen, and he's forever faithful. He'll never let you down. Even in darkness, you will find light. You will make it through. You will come out victorious. And here you are, you know, talking of your 2 businesses. And it's such a great story, you know, from just people with cancer and having this thing that wraps around their heads. And I think that is so profound, and you don't realize the power in that they are wrapping their heads. The head is where the mind is. So you're basically healing them, you know, you're basically taking out that the problem, because when I go back to Joseph, it's attitude that kept him, or it's attitude that led him to finding his purpose. So you must transform your mind and have a good attitude throughout whatever it is that you're going through. Someone that is going through cancer, they are thinking death, because that's all that is being preached about, that once you have cancer, there's no cure. You're going to go through this moment, you're going to go through that. But for somebody to wrap their head, it is like covering that shame, because they start losing their head depending on what type of cancer you have. So wrapping your head is wrapping the mind, and it's transforming the mind and healing you to say there is hope, there is healing, that my shame is hidden. So yeah, I'll just leave it there. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Thabisa.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dikeledi. I love you so much. You always come in and you just speak life. Thank you so much for that contribution. And of course, I am going to give JD. I know that we don't have time, but I would love JD to just like give us a word or two. What is your take as my co-host or a contribution?
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Thabisa, for the opportunity. And Kim, thank you for being so brave as to share your story. Your tears were not just tears to us, it was you just showing how brave you actually are, that you can show up, you can still tell your story. And for me, I loved how well you spoke about Jesus, about how you spoke about the journey and how you found him. Literally, part of your story is something that I could resonate with, because I have gone through something similar. Just the constant searching, the constant, there is a thing in you, there is a need in your heart that you constantly wanting to feel. And I at some point filled it up with alcohol, filled it up with relationships, filled it up with all these other things. But like you, by the grace of God and his faithfulness towards me, he was also able to lead me to a church. He was able to lead me to community that helped me reroute, that helped me find myself again in him. And my life too has never been the same. As you said, I absolutely love just how you were like, your life was never the same after you met Jesus. And for me, I share the same sentiment. So thank you so much. And you really are an inspiration. Thank you, Kim, and thank you, Thabisa.
Thank you. Thank you so much, JD. I see Kim has fell off. But something in me is saying that, of course, she will catch up on this, or maybe she'll come back in. But I don't know if I can give just one last person to just give us your take or your share. I see we have Vanessa Matati at gmail.com. I don't know if you can unmute your mic, say, or madam, and just give us whatever that you think was your share or your take from this conversation. If there's anyone else that has anything else to share or to say, please feel free to raise your hands before we wrap up. Because remember, whatever contribution or question or share or take that you're going to give us is important and may help somebody. I see Kim is back. Vanessa, can you unmute your mic? All right. Tandiwe, I don't know if you can unmute your mic. Tandiwe, can you unmute your mic? All right. You know what? I'm going to give it back to Anne. Mom, as I would like you to unmute your mic. Kim is back, and you watched your daughter. You watched your daughter going through all of this. Sometimes as a mother, Miss, and you wish you could take some of the pain or the burden that your child, is carrying, but there's absolutely nothing you can do. So I just want to find out from your side and from hearing the story from this perspective, because I know maybe you talk and share all the time. How was it like to watch your daughter transform, Miss Anne?
Oh, it was amazing seeing her, especially coming out of her ex retreat. It was the best thing I think that she could have done. It was really and truly amazing. And you felt, as a mom, I actually felt the change in her, you know, the difference. There was a big difference in her. So yeah, so that was the best thing that could have happened to her. And then of course the her loss, as a mum, you feel her pain, you know, the deepest and darkest of pain, you feel it for her as well. But as I said, we managed. Communicating is the best form, you know, and even up until now, we still, every day we communicate, every single day. Yeah.
Wow, I want to commend you for that, Mommy. I want to commend you for that. Not everybody knows that communication is very important. Even us today, as young parents, we're still learning how to communicate with our children. So thank you so much for that. Kim, welcome back. I see you fell off. Kim, we are 3 minutes
Yeah,
past our.
we currently in load shedding.
Yeah.
Sorry, we currently load shedding, so we got a backup light here.
Oh yeah, no, welcome to South Africa. That's how it works. We understand. Welcome back. I was so sad because I really wanted you to give us your last say. You know what you would like to give us out of this. You've shared your story and you have told us how you turned. God gave you strength to turn your pain into purpose, and I'm definitely sure we will be working together and we'll be seeing you flourish and blooming with the years to come. And we wish you all the best. We love and we're so blessed that we have met this version of you. I think as people don't understand how lucky we are to meet this version of you, this one that has found her purpose, this vision that has found herself, this vision that is saying, I'm going to do it because I don't want anyone else to go through what I went through. One of our purpose as Propositive is to be about it, be the change that you want to see. And we just want to say thank you so much for what you are doing in your corner and in your society, wherever you are, because as the children of God, we only show the love of God by demonstrating and also by showing the love that God has showed us as his children. But before we leave, I just want you to give us your last say. What would you like to leave us with and to remember this conversation with?
Be kinder to yourself. Yeah, that's all I can say is just be kinder to yourself. In the messiness, in the ugliness, just be kinder to yourself. That's all I can say. Life is only hard if we make it hard. Yeah, that's all I can say. That's all I can think of right now, is that we make life harder than it actually should be. By our actions, by our lack of participation, by our nonchalantness. Everybody goes through that phase in their lives where they're just flowing and going with the flow, and sometimes we have to just swim against that current that's always pushing us in a certain direction, because going with the flow sometimes isn't always what serves us. So, yeah,
wow.
that's all I
Thank
can
you.
say.
Thank you so much for those words. Be kinder to yourself, everybody. I hope wherever you are, as you continue throughout the week, you are kinder to yourself and you remember that you are loved, you are made in the image of God. And thank you so much, Kim, for coming in to share with us. Everybody, it is exactly 7 minutes past 8. We are 7 minutes late, but thank you, everybody, for joining us, for your contributions and for your questions. And of course, we will be here next week. Load shedding or no load shedding, we are here every Thursday every
Awesome.
Thursday, 7 o'clock. We are also now available on YouTube. You can catch up on our sessions on YouTube, so you can be able to go in and catch up on whatever session that we have the previous week. And of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We're growing and we see God in each and every conversation that we've had. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good night. We will see you
Night,
next week.
everyone.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, mommy.
I think your mic is muted. I can't hear you.
No, I was calling my daughter. You can stop recording.